time. I've been dumb in the mouth, but I haven't been blind. Manipulate the scene at hand. I'm just here to agree and let you win again.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Citywide Blackout, your home for the best creators from around the world. I'm your host, Max Bowen, and joining me now, though she is based out of Florida, she has played really all over the country, hundreds of gigs in a given year, and certainly much more to come. Singer-songwriter Frankie Raye joins me. Frankie, welcome back to the show. It's great to be talking to you again.
Hi, so good to be talking to you again, too. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Now, we last spoke in 2019, so 4 years ago. Man, what a different world it was back then. You had just put out your debut.
Oh my gosh, I know. I had no idea.
Oh my God, we had no idea what was right around the corner. You had just released your debut EP, Brave. How would you say, though, in this time, how would you say that as an artist you've sort of changed?
I think my songwriting's changed in that, I used to write, I think in the beginning I wrote a lot. I would try to be too abstract with my words because I thought being more poetic and more abstract, and I guess I would sing a lot in metaphors. And for some reason, I thought that was more poetic. And then I listened back to some of my old songs and I'm like, that line doesn't really make sense. Like, it made sense to me at the time, but I've just been working on becoming more direct and more clear with my lyrics. And I've gotten better at my guitar playing too. I used to just only have, 3-chord songs, and now I've learned how to add more dynamics and, key changes and just things that I didn't really play around with, and like different ways to tune the guitar. I've been kind of working on some experimental stuff. And also my partner, he plays bass and percussion, but he also makes a lot of beats too. And he has fun playing around with kind of, techno style things. And we've been working with that. So that's been a lot of fun. So I'd say it's changed mostly just by becoming more experimental and, just trying to write about different things, not so much myself, but just what I see in the world. I'm just trying to broaden my horizons all the way around.
I get you. It's actually interesting because you've talked about sort of simplifying your lyrics. You're trying more with the music to kind of branch out and do some different songs and styles. Can you give me an example as to some of the new things you've been able to try out?
Well, lyrically, my 2021 single I released, it was called Over Now. That's a really good example because if you look at the lyrics of the chorus, the only words are, it's over now, it's over now, it's over now. And normally, like, I would never write, I would be like, no, that's too repetitive. But there's so much going on in the music back there. I don't need to have it really wordy, just saying the phrase, it's over now, over and over and over again, which is kind of funny because it's like, it's over now, but I'm repeating that phrase over and over again. I would never used to do that before. And yeah. And also with that song too, if you listen to the breakdown, there's some cool vocal effects, which I had never really messed with before. And it definitely has kind of a more rock sound. So I think that's probably, if you listen to all of my music up to the song Over Now, you can definitely hear a shift and just a change, and more experimental in the music, but more simple in the lyrics.
Okay. You mentioned that you and your partner have also been experimenting with doing some techno sounds, which I wouldn't think that would work with your more folky style, but has it kind of fit in well enough?
It has. I mean, we haven't released anything. It's kind of just us playing around in the studio. But there is stuff, my partner has a really interesting sound on his own. His chord progressions are always just really funky and kind of like, oh, that's different. So it's not just straight techno. It's, there's acoustic guitar and then I do a lot of harmonies around him and just kind of aerial sounds around that. And that's another thing with the lyrics. We don't really write that many lyrics. We just kind of find a cool phrase or a hook and just kind of sing that a bunch of times and just get crazy with the music around it. But we do plan on maybe sometime later this year or next year working on an actual EP with the two of us with more of that kind of, techno, maybe EDM kind of sound.
So this will be your dance hall phase, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
It's a heck of a change. I like that, though. Do you?
I know, no, but I'm still folky. I mean, that's still my roots. That's still
Yeah,
what I'm gonna write.
of course, of
It's fun
course.
to play around.
Oh, I think it's important too. I think it's important to try new things and not say, okay, this works for me now. I'll just keep doing it forever.
Exactly, exactly. I don't think you grow that way. I think you have to branch out and try new things just to grow.
Exactly. All right, so then
Yeah.
let's talk a little more about that because, like I said, 4 years since we spoke, you've been playing hundreds of gigs. In particular, I saw that in 2021, you booked 388 gigs. For those of us keeping track, that is more days than there are in the calendar year, which means you played more than one show a day. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I've learned to calm down on that. And I think in 2021, um, of course it was the year after the pandemic and everything, and a lot of places were still shut down. A lot of places didn't have music. Florida kind of had its own thing going on. It's controversial. I don't really get into it, but it is what it is. I'm a Florida resident, and a lot of the restaurants I played at kind of said, "Hey, we're doing music again. However, you're going to be outside, far away from people. So do you want to do it?" And I got to a point where I was so scared to say no to anyone because I was, because then there was the Delta variant and it was just kind of like, oh, is this going to happen again? Are we going to shut down again? So I was just afraid to turn anything down. So I didn't. And then it ended up just being 388. And it was crazy. I definitely don't do that anymore. I
Oh,
stayed at
okay.
300.
So, just at 300, huh? Wow. Okay, you're definitely
300,
taking
yeah.
it easy.
I'm trying to stay under 300. I don't know. I've
Okay.
definitely been giving myself more time lately to just breathe and
Yeah.
relax and live.
Oh, you gotta. And I definitely hear what you're
Yeah.
saying about when things first began to come back. It's that, we thought we lost it. We definitely thought it was
Yeah.
over. It was never going to come back. So I think there was a lot of that apprehension about, okay, well, we don't know what's going to happen next. I may as well just say yes to everything and then figure it out from there.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't want to, and plus everyone, and all the musicians here, everyone was just, foaming at the mouth for gigs because we all needed work. So it's just like I didn't want to be the one to say no because what if they don't ask me again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but now everything's back and we're pretty much good.
Nice. But still, booking under 300 a year, that's quite a lot. I mean, that's more than a lot of folks do. But do you do this all yourself or do you have a team working with you?
So I mostly do it all myself. However, I do work with a lot of just like smaller agencies that book multiple places. I have a handful of people who contact me every few months and they say, "Hey, here are a handful of dates that I have at these places." And then the other person will say the same thing. And between myself reaching out and between those smaller booking agencies, that pretty much covers it. That's how I'm able to fill up my calendar. And I always keep a good relationship with the people who book me, and we're all really good friends. I don't really book with agencies who don't seem genuine anymore. It's kind of more like personal agencies, like individual people who own their own little small booking company. And I kind of prefer that, keep it local, like mom and pop shop kind of booking agencies,
Yeah, I
which I
getcha.
like.
So you must have
Yeah.
this just like down to a science when it comes to approaching venues you never worked with before.
Yeah, I mean, I really do. I guess I understand how to get your package together. I understand how to write emails, making them concise and to the point. I used to just send my whole biography in an email and wonder why. So I was like, honey, they're not going to sit there and take more than 10 minutes to read through your biography. It needs to be like literally 4 sentences. Who are you? What do you do? What are you looking for? You want a book? Okay. And sometimes I even just say, here are the dates I have available. If any of these work for you, let me know. And a lot of people just write back immediately like, oh, yeah, I have these. Do you want those dates? Because a lot of people who book restaurants, a lot of them are just the managers. And when you're a restaurant manager, you've got so many other things on your plate other than just music. You've got
Yeah.
your staff and money and, everything. So it's the less work for them, the better. So when I send out an email to try to get a booking, I try to make it as easy for them as possible to click on my website. Boom, there's my press kit. Boom, there's a video. Okay, that's what she does. And I just try to make it easy for them.
Take notes, people, okay? This is a class in how to book with venues.
Absolutely, it really is, and it's a lot of trial and error, but that's kind of the method that I found works the best. Just be direct. You don't have to add all this. Hello, how are you having a good day? But it's kind of just it's not rude. It's not rude. It's like no, they don't have time. They're busy. They just want to see right there 4 sentences. What do you want? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, just straight and to the point. That's the way to go.
It's absolutely
Yeah,
yeah, and it's not rude. It's just quick. It's business.
exactly. Now, do you mostly play in Florida, or do you play outside the state too?
I mostly play in Florida. That's pretty much my bread and butter. Most of that is just because, I've booked, my residencies. A lot of the restaurants I play, I have the same place every Monday now, the same place every Friday, the same place every Saturday morning. And then throughout the week and the weekends, I kind of scatter it around. But I do go out of town for things like songwriting festivals. In April of this year, I went to New York for the New York Songwriting Circle, which was amazing. So I definitely, if I do go out, if I do go out of town for a gig, it's for something special like that. It's not really to go play at a restaurant.
Yeah. I read that you got to play at the Bitter End in New York City, which is a huge accomplishment. What was it like being part of that atmosphere?
Oh, it was so great. It really was. It was just so inspiring. I mean, as soon as you walk in the door, you just feel the energy and you're looking up and you look to your left and you see actual photos and ticket stubs of Bob Dylan when he played there. And then you look to your right and you see an original poster of when Joni Mitchell debuted there. And then they were playing there before they were even really famous, like that's where they started out. So it was just, you feel the energy as soon as you walk in. It was incredible. The place was sold out, so it's like every single seat was taken. And it was incredible. Every single person was listening. It was like when you play at the songwriters festivals, it was kind of the same thing. Every person's listening to every word that you say, everything that you sing. It was a beautiful experience.
I'll bet. Do you think you'll be coming back up north anytime soon?
I would like to try to get into the Bitter End again. I know I talked to the people there, and they said that they might have me back in November, or maybe next spring. But I'm always looking though to is there anything cool going up that way that I can apply to? And I have applied to some music festivals that I see up there. Nothing's really happened yet with that, but I definitely want to.
Oh yeah, and I think especially up
Yeah.
here in the Northeast where I live, your style of music is a good fit. The area has a lot of different genres of music, but I would say like the folk and the pop are two of the more predominant ones. So certainly, if you come to this area, I think you'll find a great audience.
I really would love to. In fact, I need to get on that this summer and just kind of start planting the seeds and putting my feelers out there to see if I can get up there this fall or even next spring. That's definitely something I want to do.
All right. Well, hopefully, I'll get the chance to see you live in person after all this time.
Yes, I will let you know. I promise. I'll send you a message.
Yeah. All right. Let us then pivot to new music because certainly you have not been idle in that regard. You put out your newest single, "Foot in Mouth," and reading the story about this, I like how this was. It's about being content in your journey, particularly in music.
Yeah.
What's been your experience with that?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself content right now? Did you get challenged a lot in that regard?
I really have been focusing, especially this year and after the past few busy years, I've been focusing on just understanding that, look, it's not a race. It's not I don't know. I just always used to every day wake up and think that I was failing in some way because I wasn't playing at this festival, or I didn't get into this festival, or I can't get into this gig, or and I would just beat myself up over it. And then I would, talk to some friends. And then there's always these people who are just like, oh, well, be on The Voice. So you should, it's like everyone talks you up to make you feel like you should be doing more than you're already doing. And I think people who don't play music, they think that it's just as easy as, oh, go audition for The Voice. Boom, you're famous and you're rich. And that's it. And you know what I mean? They think that it's just this linear path, and it's not. I mean, you go to the left and you climb 10 steps and then you fall down another flight of stairs and then you run. It's all over the place. And I think I just really wanted to write a song about being content where you are. And it's okay to just be where you're at. It's okay to, it's okay to be second place. I guess that's kind of where I was trying to get with that song.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really healthy attitude, because you certainly should go for your dreams, but at the same time, if you're not making that top spot, it doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you're where you're at, and maybe tomorrow you'll be somewhere else.
Yeah, and the word failure, I was just trying to re-envision what that word even means. Like, what does it even mean? Am I failing? Because I get to go play music every day. That's my job. Is that really failure? Just because I'm not, headlining these big concert venues and this and that and this and that, does it really mean that I failed, or am I kind of killing it?
I mean, I would say booking 300 gigs a year is definitely killing it. Playing at the bitter end in New York City is definitely killing it. So I mean, certainly are there greater heights, I suppose, but I would say you're doing pretty damn good already.
Yeah, and now, especially with it's so easy to release your own music now. It's not like you have to sit there and wait for a label to pick you up and then they control all of your music. And it's not really like that. You can really do it yourself now and just put your music out there. And, and I thought about it, even if I did, for example, I have a friend who, was on The Voice and got pretty far, and he ended up writing some music and he got signed. And then all of a sudden, it didn't work out, but all the music he wrote they owned it and they shelved it. So now they own it and they can take that song off the shelf and repurpose it for another artist if they want to. And that was just a horrifying story to me. I'm just like, really? Because my songs are just, maybe I'm too precious with them, but I couldn't imagine someone just taking your music and saying, well, we own it now. So I'm just like, what? That's not fair.
Yeah.
Who says that,
Yeah.
There's a reason it's called music business.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to give my music up, even if it was in the off chance of making some big accomplishment. I'm not sure I'd want to take the chance of losing what took, maybe months to create.
I know. I'm the same way, and it's like, is it really worth? I mean, for example, another example is my brother. He had some big success with his band. He was a band called Foxy Shazam. And they had some one-hit wonder, back in 2013, 2014. And they got pretty big. They were touring with, the Used, and they were playing at all these big venues, and they were touring the world. And it was great, but it's kind of like they didn't really have any rights to their music anymore. And anything that they wanted to write that was different and new, the label would just say, oh no, that's not really the sound we want. And it's just kind of like, you can't do what you want anymore. And maybe that sounds spoiled. Maybe it's just about me wanting to do what I want when I want it. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. The whole thing, it just seems like it's a lot more trouble than it's worth. What's wrong with just playing your music in your cute little town and staying humble about it, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's about what makes you happy.
Yeah, that is exactly it. That is exactly it. Like, I am so happy having complete control of what I write and how I write it and working with the people that I want to work with. Do I really want to just leave all of that, everything that I've built, just for the chance to be famous or Taylor Swift or something? Because that's like a 1 in a million chance anyway, Do
you challenge yourself, though, when it comes to like a new year? Do you say, okay, this year I'm going to do this, this, and this?
I do. Yeah, I definitely have goals. Some of the ones this year was releasing a new single. I also just recently made a cool little, it's not really an official music video, but I kind of just was playing around with some video editing software, and I ended up making this cool little music video for my song Foot and Mouth, and it is on my Instagram and on my Facebook. And it's not the whole song. I kind of just did it as a promo. But my goals this year was just to kind of find more creative ways to advertise the music that I already have, like making cool little music videos and content and things like that. So, but I definitely, at the beginning of the year, I write out goals, and those were some of mine for this year.
Cool. When you're making the videos, are these just things you're doing like on your phone?
No, it's on my laptop, but I found this cool editing software. Yeah. And then I just kind of just sat around one night and I just started playing around, and I was like, man, this is kind of cool. Maybe I should do this for a lot of my music. And even if I record an acoustic demo, I could make some cool video for that just to kind of get people interested.
I also saw that you had the chance to kind of branch out into acting as well. You were recently part of an episode of the Boar Knight podcast, which, folks, if you haven't checked it out, check this thing out. It's on Spotify, likely a lot of other platforms. It's really hilarious. You were in a role as Dr. Comet Chianina of the United Bovine Science Coalition. In episode 13,
Yeah.
up and away, and I listened to the episode. It's really good. You were fantastic in this.
Thank you.
How did all this come about?
So it's really cool. I just mentioned my brother earlier, and he is actually helping with the audio engineering because he still plays music, but the band isn't together anymore. So now he's mostly just doing audio production, which is what he wants to do anyway. So he was in charge of the audio production for this podcast, and the song that's in that episode, he wrote he didn't write the lyrics for it, but he basically wrote the melody and everything you hear is all him performing it, my brother. But he reached out to me, and his friend Peter Pepper, he helped write the whole podcast, the Boar Knight. So they both just reached out to me and they said, "Hey, you're in," because Peter lives in St. Pete, and he's like, "Oh, you live close, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, do you want this role?" And I said, "Yeah." And then there was a song involved. They said, "Well, we need someone who can sing, so that's why we asked you. But if you're interested in reading the parts too, we could do that." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So it's really cool. And now I have a thing on IMDb, which is awesome. I never thought I'd be on IMDb.
Yeah, exactly. And I really thought your role was pretty hilarious. You're this bovine scientist, and I think what I like most is that you're very a very upbeat, good-natured kind of character.
Yeah, and it's confused too. They're like, she's a cow from the land, and now she's under the water, and she's like, "What is this place?" And it's really cool. There's actually, I went back last week to record a new episode that should have been released, I think, a couple of days ago. He was supposed to message me. I didn't hear anything about it, but I'm pretty sure the episode's going to be released soon. But yeah, keep up with the Boar Knight. You'll see another episode where Dr. Chianina pops up.
Oh my
Chianina.
God. It's a great character.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about the character, how you kind of got into it.
I don't have any acting experience whatsoever besides being in drama in high school. And even then, I hated the acting exercises because just talking isn't really, I don't know. It just was like, I can't express myself through acting like other people can. But I just kind of, I don't know. I read the script a bunch of times. And one of the cool things about this podcast, though, is they said, don't overdo it. Like, we're not looking for this big dramatic, it's very like kind of monotone. Just be yourself. That's all they said. There's like, remember, they're not going to see you. So they're not going to know what you look like. Just sound like yourself. So I was like, okay, I'm a nice, calm doctor who's kind of confused, but wants to help people. And so that's kind of how I got into it.
Do you think you will be like a recurring character in the series?
I hope so. I know they just finished I think this was the second season. They just finished that. I do know they are taking a break. I think they're just going to get their heads together and see where they want the rest of the show to go. But my character will definitely, if they continue going with the story, then they'll definitely bring my character back, and I'm down for it. I think it's fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Frankie, we are coming down to the end of the conversation, but before we wrap things up, of course, the big question the folks want to know, what's next for you?
I am working on a new song. I haven't gotten in the studio yet, but I've worked on the demo, and I actually kind of recorded the song last year, but I didn't really like the way it went. But the song is called Nothing Less Than True. And again, it's about the music industry, and it's about my relationship to it. And kind of the main point is kind of along the lines of foot and mouth. I'm okay where I'm at, but Nothing Less Than True is more just about, I just want to be as genuine as I can, as genuine of a person as I can, no matter what happens in life. No matter where this takes me, I want to stay humble and stay grounded and just be who I am. So that's kind of what the song is about.
Excellent. And of course, I expect many more shows to come.
I've got my schedule pretty much filled for this year. I have some cool shows at the Hard Rock Cafe in Tampa, so it's pretty cool venue. I've got some shows there throughout the fall, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then, of course, I'm always applying to songwriters festivals and, just seeing what I can do. I might have some shows in Ohio coming up in September. I'm going up for a family reunion, and my aunt plays in a bunch of bands up there. And she's like, "Oh, when you come up, let me know. We'll get some shows in the books for you." And I was like, "Okay." So I might have a little mini Ohio tour coming up, which will be fun because that's where I'm from. That's where I was born.
Excellent. I actually know some folks in Ohio, as it turns out.
Cool.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I'll be in the Dayton area.
Okay, I'll definitely let them know. Well, all right, Frankie, we are bringing this thing to a close, and of course, for the folks at home, if you want to learn more about this wonderful artist, you check out Frankie Raye, Frankie RAYE.com. Everything's there, tour schedules, music videos. Of course, check out the Boar Knight podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. It's a wonderfully hilarious kind of sci-fi, bit of fantasy, it's a lot of fun, folks. Just check it out. You're definitely going to like it. And Frankie, definitely looking forward to the next conversation, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Max, so much. I had a blast. Thanks for having me back on.
Hey, this is singer-songwriter and mental health advocate Stephanie Matthias. Be sure to check out my single Hero Side, available on all platforms now, and listen to Citywide Blackout, your home for the best indie artists.
And that brings this episode to a close. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to follow the show on Facebook under Citywide Blackout, and Twitter and Instagram under Citywide Max. You can find this show on your favorite podcast platforms, and new episodes are added every week, as well as every Saturday at 10 p.m. on Boston Free Radio. You can get at me at citywidemax@yahoo.com. Whether you want to suggest a guest, submit music for the bi-weekly Blackout Collection playlist, or just say hello. That's all for now, and I'll see you next time.
Now I'll make it weird, put my foot in my mouth. That's how it always works out. At any minute now you'll pull away, misinterpret what I say. I never say anything right, and I feel the blank stare, so I tell myself that I don't care. I mean, what good does it do? And what am I trying to prove? I ask myself, is it worth it to sit around waiting for it get always at all to show? And everybody asks me where I'm going next. I'd have a plan if I could only find my head. But what's so wrong with staying here instead? Hustle through the races with nothing to show. My tired eyes look desperate. I know, is this all to get ahead of a charade? A song and dance to forget the plans I've made. I feel like I'm always on trial here, justifying what's never clear. I mean, what good does that do? And what am I trying to prove? So I'll just paint on my happy face and clown around, waiting for who knows, putting on a show. I'll never have to wonder where I'm going next, 'cause I'd say anywhere is just as good as here. And maybe, just maybe, Mr. Ghetto will appear. Ooh, yeah, sure. second place. Any minute now I'll make it weird, put my foot in my mouth. That's how it always works out. I ask myself, is it worth it to sit around waiting for Godot? Is it all a show? Just live your life, you never know. And everybody asks me where I'm going next. I'd have a plan if I could only find my head.